Hey, how's it going, everyone? Bass here. So in today's video, I want to talk about how De'Vondre Campbell has been so successful so far in Green Bay. So as we recall, back in June, the Packers signed inside linebacker De'Vondre Campbell for that 1-year, $2 million deal. After they didn't sign linebacker Christian Kirksey, they kind of had a hole there opposite Chris Barnes. And the Packers really have been bouncing around linebackers the past couple of years. To name a few, we have Blake Martinez, B.J. Goodson, Antonio Morrison, and many thought when they signed De'Vondre Campbell, he would be the next Morrison or Christian Kirksey, which is very average, kind of just a body out there at linebacker. And you had every right to think that. I mean, De'Vondre Campbell really hasn't had an amazing season since he was drafted in 2016. He was kind of always that second linebacker, that backup linebacker. He was behind Deion Jones and even Keanu Neal all 4 years in Atlanta. And then he was behind Jordan Hicks last year on his 1-year deal in Arizona. And Campbell actually had a pretty good quote about this situation. He said, "I've always kind of been the Robin to somebody else's Batman and everybody else's scheme. I've always felt like I've been a good player, but now I'm actually having the opportunity to showcase my talent. So I just really appreciate the Packers for giving me the opportunity." And what he said is true. He's never really been the guy at linebacker on either the Falcons or the Cardinals. And if we take a look at his PFF grades over the years since he was drafted in 2016 to the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, if you look at his grades here, he's never had a 70-plus graded year. Obviously, we're going to not look at that Green Bay one there at the top. He's had a sub-60 grade 4 of the 5 years he's been in the league. And even last year, he had a sub-50 grade with that 49.0. He never exceeded 90 tackles in any of his years. So you'd be allowed to not expect a crazy jump from De'Vondre Campbell when they signed him back in June. So after the Green Bay Packers did sign him, minicamp OTAs and even training camp, it was clear as day that they saw him as their number one linebacker. He didn't even play in any preseason game, so Joe Barry was clear. He definitely liked what he saw from De'Vondre Campbell and 100% was sure that was their guy at linebacker. And Joe Barry, being a former linebackers coach on a lot of teams, the Buccaneers, the Chargers, the Rams, and a plethora of other college football teams, a lot thought he might change and transform that inside linebacker room, and that's exactly what he's doing right now with De'Vondre Campbell. So Campbell had an interview the other day, and he had a lot to say about his time so far in Green Bay. This quote says, "When I got the playbook, I was like, this is a lot different than what I'm used to. My role is a lot different," Campbell said. "I'm actually having the opportunity to be the man." So as I said before, it was clear the moment he came in, he was going to be the man at linebacker. He also had another quote here, pretty long one, but it shows a lot of insight of why he's been playing at such a high level so far. Campbell said, "I've played in systems where it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you ask a lot of the linebackers. I've played in systems where linebackers are almost defensive backs. You're running with the wide receivers all the time, playing in man coverage, and it's something I can do. I'm very good at it, but this system just allows linebackers to be linebackers and defensive backs to be defensive backs." So if that makes sense, that's basically the biggest difference. It just allows a linebacker to be a linebacker and make plays within the box area. That's something I wouldn't say is unfamiliar because I've done it before, but I haven't had this consistent role where this is what you're doing all the time. I've always had to switch roles weekly. I've basically played just about every position on defense before. I have tape on it, so I'm comfortable with it. But at least knowing week in and week out what my role is, it just allows me to consistently play at a high level. So basically, Joe Barry has put De'Vondre Campbell in the best position to succeed, and that's really all he's ever wanted over his career. He's never really got to showcase his true skill set at linebacker, and linebacker is such a position that's changed over the years, so it's nice to finally see Campbell playing it at such a high level. And he has truly been a top linebacker this year in the NFL. And if we go ahead and look at his PFF grades for this season, every single week this season, he's been a 70-plus every week but week 1, and let's face it, week 1, I mean, that didn't even happen. So everyone was really bad that game. But if you look at his other games, he's been a 70-plus every other game since then. And he's even eclipsed an 80-plus grade in 3 games this year. And last week, he had his highest graded game against the Washington football team with an 88.1. So far, Campbell's had 49 total tackles with only 2 missed tackles, 23 stops, 2 forced fumbles. He's allowed 26 receptions on 36 targets for 146 yards, which is only 5.6 yards per catch, allowing 1 touchdown. He has 2 interceptions, which is a quarterback rating of 65.3. And the 5.6 yards per reception is the lowest in the entire NFL for all linebackers by a whole 2 yards. The next lowest is 7.6 yards. He's third in the entire league for missed tackle percentage at 3.1% and number 2 for total tackle grade at 84.7. He's number 1 at run defense grade at 91.4. And to put in perspective how high that is, Bobby Wagner last year was the only linebacker in the NFL with a 90 plus, and it wasn't even as high as 91.4. I think it was 90 flat. He's also number 2 in overall coverage grade for all linebackers, right below Eric Kendricks with an 81.1. And after number 2, number 3 drops about a whole 10 points, being 71.4, Logan Wilson over there in Cincinnati. So De'Vondre Campbell does everything well. His overall grade, he is the number 1 graded linebacker in the NFL by a wide margin. He has an 89.2 overall grade. Number 2 is Alexander Johnson with an 81.8, a whole 8 points lower. And I just can't stress enough how much De'Vondre Campbell has meant to this defense and how much he's elevated this defense, because the Packers really haven't had a linebacker this good playing at this level for God knows how long. So at this point, I'm just praying Green Bay can re-sign him, because they did only sign him to that 1 year, $2 million deal. Obviously, the cap situation next year, we'll see what happens, but it's just finally a breath of fresh air to have a good linebacker here in Green Bay, so I'm just hoping they can retain him. And he's definitely one of the main reasons right now why the Green Bay Packers defense is playing pretty well. But that about does it for today's video. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What have you thought of De'Vondre Campbell so far this year? And also comment, what did you think going in? When they signed him back in June, what did you think? And be honest, because I feel like a lot of us were like, just another guy, just another linebacker. He'll be all right. He'll be the next Christian Kirksey, whatever. Be honest down in the comments. What was your thought? What did you think he was going to do? And what were your projections for this year for De'Vondre Campbell? But on that note, I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.